Hi Leo, this is your November 2024 soul story. If you have a sun, rising or moon in the sign, this is your reading, and this is Romy. Thanks so much for taking the time to tune into the channel. We're opening up this month with the energy of the star for you. We have 2 new moons in November. We open on the 1st of the month with a new moon in Scorpio and close out with our new moon in Sagittarius. So zoning right in to then make sense of the bigger picture is very much the theme of November. But context and perspective is everything. Now, the star indicates that perhaps after a time of turmoil, there is a little bit more recovery, a bit more healing, optimism, and something that you're reaching for that feels almost a quiet, persistent pull. And that might be against the backdrop of a continuing kind of discord or flux of energy all around you. But it indicates that, you are forging ahead with something. There's a path that's meant for you, that's destined for you. And I think the way in which these new moons kind of hold space to allow a lot of the new energy to be directed and seeds of intention to be placed by you does make November like quite a special journey to embark upon. Now, the 3rd of the month sees the asteroid goddess Juno moving into Scorpio, and here she wants us to create some really powerful, unbreakable bonds. And I think that's one of the things that you're going to be realizing, like, who is good for me, who brings sunlight to my soul. And don't be surprised if there's maybe people coming back from the past. We're going to have a Mercury retrograde coming this month. We're in Mars shadow of your sign, and I think that the realization that perhaps you don't want to or you don't have to do something alone is also important as you consider what's around you and what's ahead of you this month. Now, of course, Mars does move into your sign on the 3rd, the same day, opposing Pluto, and Venus opposing Jupiter. There's some tension and friction in and around that time in November early on. And yet, that shift of energy from Mars into Leo just kind of motivates you and gives you an opportunity, I think, to become very fixed and very focused. Perhaps at times stubbornly so, but sometimes that's what we need, right? Sometimes a healthy dose of stubbornness can give us the strength and the resiliency and the fortitude to just make something happen. I think that there's a tremendous influx of creativity for you to be working with as well. So Mars in your sign, through till it goes retrograde on December 6th, and then it will track back into Cancer before coming back into your sign. And we're going to have this long extended stay right through to June in 2025. So there's going to be things that come up now in November that you're going to continue to work on. A lot will be resolved, a lot will be explored. You may discard things, come back around to them, but ultimately I think the journey that this is taking you on definitely gives you a source of direction. And with the 6 of Wands coming through here, there's something ultimately that will be successful in terms of an endeavor. Just remember that this is a journey, that it's about coming forth with creative solutions, not a combative approach. And at times that's going to feel maybe a little bit tougher to do as frustrations can run quite high. I think the star energy is exactly what's needed, though. It brings that, as I said, sort of quiet, consistent energy that can just temper things when you need it. Deeper, I suppose, is a realization that one of the things you'll also be addressing through this season is that, if you don't see yourself, if you don't validate yourself, no amount of external validation is going to make up for that. And the 6 of Wands is an interesting one because it does just, give that nudge to say, sometimes where ego overtakes integrity, or when we're seeking something because we're trying to fill a void, there's deeper exploration exploration of healing required from that perspective. And I think that combination is maybe speaking of that just as a undertone to perhaps what's going to be coming up for you over the next few weeks and months, right? Now, the 11th brings our 1111 portal and an opportunity to really revisit the way in which you've been manifesting. And again, with Mars in your sign, there's something quite powerful, and there's definitely this opportunity when you relax your mind and your body, because I feel like one of the hardest things is the tenseness that can just get in the way of really enabling you to receive the signs and the messages and just the truth and the resonance of how you're supposed to move forward in this moment, right? So you just need to breathe and keep reminding yourself, relax your jaw, relax your shoulders, just focus on what's right in front of you. And you are, through the course of November, I think, going to get some incredibly strong hits. Now, we've got the King of Cups coming through here. He's partly obscured with that waterfall. I think there's a degree of protection that's being communicated here, i.e. protecting your energy field is going to be very important. I also think that perhaps somebody is sort of on the periphery, if you like, of your circle or of your life, of your energy field right now. I genuinely think that this King of Cups is wanting to bring through something positive. I feel like they have something to offer. You may get insight or have an awareness of their presence in November, but it might take some time for that to be fully understood and realized. I also think as you commune with your own spiritual journey and realize the maturity that's now unfolding, you're having different types of conversation with your higher self, and I think that really matters. One of the things that can certainly come through with a Mars in Leo energy is where people will seek manipulation to try to receive some sort of false recognition. And I think, we owe it to ourselves to understand that self-awareness is a relationship that we have that needs constant investment, constant energy, patience, and honesty. And, we're all walking that path, okay? But the King of Cups here feels like there's something deeply valuable from a spiritual mentorship, wisdom, counsel energy coming through, highly compassionate and really quite healing as well. And I feel in some way that there could be something coming through this month of November, Leo, that finally gives you recognition that actually is deserved. Maybe you've let something go. It's always the way, isn't it, that when we finally allow ourselves to release something, then that's exactly when it shows up, right? Everything is on the other side of you letting go, is what I want to say. So the 1111 portal, something shifting and something showing up. Don't be surprised if who is around your energy at that time is very important in terms of what happens next. Venus is also going to be in Capricorn, so some interesting conversations, maybe some serious conversations around how value is being recognized and how that plays into what the plan or the strategy is moving forward, just in relationships, but also in terms of perhaps your prosperity consciousness and what's going on in your material world. You have the Eight of Cups here, and I think, it's not a surprise that in a month where, we've got this really powerful full moon in Taurus, but also the days following, we have Pluto coming out of Capricorn into Aquarius, and we also have Saturn direct in Pisces from the 12th. So from the 12th through to the 19th, there's like one powerful, energetic conversation after another, and what it's asking of you, in some ways what it's sort of demanding of you, is it's time to go, it's time to move on, it's time to realize and come to terms with something. And I think that acceptance, maybe in the past you were struggling with it, but something about the month of November just says, do you know what, yes, now, there's no more for me to There's no more for me to do, there's no more for me to offer, there's no more for me to track back over in regards to this. So I feel that that's quite a peaceful release, yeah, and one that you are meant to be taking some time to fully acknowledge and, give credit and praise where it's due. It's been a hard journey, even this year, right? You're 44 weeks in, what has it taught you? What is it showing you about yourself? Now, Saturn direct in Pisces, of course, will, provide a real sort of karmic clearance, and where there has been perhaps a sense of something that, you know, felt like it was dissolving before you could really grasp it. It just felt like it was constantly out of reach, and that just might have brought about a perpetual feeling of disappointment or just scarcity, something not being enough. And that loss has been hard, you know, that void, that absence of something. I feel like there's a shift and a turn happening around this, okay? But there's also realization that in you moving on or letting go, that perhaps you're still going to have to come to terms with the fact that there's a grieving process, a mourning process that might need to be understood. And I think it's more about, you know, what never materialized, what didn't happen rather than what did happen. I think that's what's being really understood by you in the month of November, the potential that wasn't realized. And it's tough, isn't it? Sometimes when we invest hugely, personally, intimately into something in our world, whether that be a relationship, a job, you know, something that we have tremendous passion and enthusiasm and belief in, and it doesn't come about or, you know, emerge in a way that we'd expected. In fact, we can be detoured in a totally different direction. Sometimes it's a bitter pill to swallow, or something that just takes a little bit longer to come to a place of acceptance. You may still be in a place where you feel like you don't have all the answers. I think that there's this discomfort that everyone is feeling about the changes they're being asked to make, with certain aspects of the story not being concluded. And so again, sort of having to accept that is not easy either. But you know what? You actually, especially with Mars in your sign, you've just got this extra fire and this extra ability to be able to just clear. Yeah, Nine of Staffs here. You're clearing the air, you're clearing the room. And it's just this knowing of like reading the energy of the moment and just saying like, I have to move with the way in which I'm being directed. Now, there is a little bit of energetic depletion here, so be mindful, especially around that full moon in Taurus. Something comes to fruition that feels like, okay, I can work with this, like this is good. It feels like a validation of sorts, but perhaps it's also taken a lot for you to get to that point. So I think just bearing in mind, you know, taking a step back and really tuning in. And, you know, like I said to you, if you're not aware of your ability to bring in some relaxation for mind, body, soul, the tenseness that's felt, especially physically in you, can really impede certain things that are wanting to show up and get you to take action this month. And remember, in Scorpio season, 4th house energy, there's a lot going on at home. You know, we often have to inner parent ourselves during this season. The spotlight gets shone again once more around our maternal paternal relationships, our mother father wound, ancestral energy, what's going on with us in regards to that. So there's a lot churning around in the collective, but also for you personally. But the 9 says you're almost there, and there's something about the need to persevere, okay? I feel like if you can give yourself permission to give one last sort of push of energy in November, you're going to feel glad that you did in regards to something, okay? As the sun shifts into fellow fire sign, we're going to prepare for this Mercury retrograde in Sagittarius arriving on the 25th, the shadow from the 7th, of course. It, of course, does distort things. You know, much can get lost in translation. We can have a lot coming back from the past. The bigger picture seems to get a little bit clouded. All of that, you know, sort of culminating just before the new moon in Sagittarius, feels like you're having almost contradictory conversations, right? And I don't want you to worry about that. You might even find yourself just saying things that just feel like, you know, I just said the complete opposite of this, and yet now I feel compelled. Or, you know, what is being presented to you or discussed with you feels very contradictory. I think it's okay, you know, there's something that's going to come through that feels like it makes sense, or it finds a middle ground, and that matters. You know, you're going to, whilst still getting the forward momentum with Mars in your sign, also feel into how the retrograde is starting to kind of cause that disruption energy of like 1 step forward, 2 steps back. And so that's why it just feels like some of that contradiction kind of it could translate in a way that feels like it's an annoyance, or it feels like there's interference in regards to your pathway. It doesn't have to feel that way. Remember, I said perspective and context is everything. The way you choose to look at something matters to how you're going to experience it this month, okay? So pay attention to that, because if you can really identify how your stories and call them out, you know, make statements about them, write them down, realize the degree to which they influence what shows up for you and what you think about it, because this is a time when you're really getting an opportunity to clear them in a more profound and significant way than you ever have before. And you know, that's no small thing, but you need to, as we talked about, really have this degree of self-awareness. This can transform some of the relationships in your world as well. And I think you're going to make some very strong, bold decisions in November. And yes, you might have to revisit, and there might be some adjustments that come up in the following weeks. But mark my words, by the time, you know, Mars leaves your sign in June of next year, the landscape's going to look pretty different. And you're going to have some incredible life lessons that, you know, really shape you into even more of a warrior than you already are. Now, if you're new to the channel, my last 3 cards we look at in the extended version of the reading. You can find the link in the comment and description box underneath. I hope you'll join me if the reading's resonating. It's a way to support the channel. I'm just going to go ahead and clarify these cards and see the direction we'll take that reading in for you, Leo, okay? So the star brings through the Empress. Now I've got a beautiful 1111 energy activation. Please take a moment to check that out. And of course, my Life Soul Vision journal is being shipped this month. Please check the details over on my website, romywiser.com, and the special offers that are available. That's the 3rd in my sacred trilogy of my oracle deck and my book. It's a beautiful gift, you know, to support you in your journey. It's an amazing soul companion. It's going to be the journal you never knew that you needed, right? And it's going to work beautifully with all of your existing diaries and planners. You can also find all of the decks that I use listed below, okay? 8 of Wands. What do we have? The World. Page of Cups. 4 of Cups. Somebody's offering something and it's just falling short. I want to say that to you about the month of November, okay? 27th is also a date that you're going to want to look out for, as the Sun trines with Mars. Sun in Sag, Mars in your sign Leo, freedom, focus, beautiful alignment, ambition, and just that sort of moment ahead of the new moon where you just get that rush, I feel. So regardless of what else is going on, it just feels like a power day for you, okay? So keep that in your mind. Right, let's have a look at Life Soul Vision Oracle. What is it adding to this conversation for you? Throat energy. New moon. We've got solstice. We've got the Spirit Wolf, certainty of trust. Waves crash and stars fall. We've got Labyrinth of Sweet Surrender coming through as well. Asteroid Goddess Pallas Athena is also shifting into Capricorn the same day as that new moon in Sagittarius on the 30th. You know, Venus in Cap, Pallas in Cap, you know, this is just helping the strategies and the plans to be very sort of goal orientated and focused. You know, we've become very clear thinking, and you know, we're not going to do anything without really thinking through the consequences, and I think that's going to be grounding and helpful for you. Remember, I provide the goddess reports as well if you want to see where these asteroid goddess sits in your own personal chart. So one final oracle for you. We have nothing is impossible, Leo. Open to the unexpected, you'll find a way. Love it. Right, thank you for being here. I hope you're going to join me for the extended. The link is below. Have a beautiful month of November. Take good care of yourself. Please go check my journal out. I am going to see you again next month. Bye for now.